Steve McCrory followed in the footsteps of his older brother Milton, where they both trained out of the Kronk gym in Detroit. Milton was nicknamed the Iceman and later won the WBC welterweight championship, while Steve was nicknamed the Bluesman, and he won the gold medal in the flyweight division at the 1984 Olympic Games. Steve was moved fast as a pro, taking an 11-0-1 record into a bantamweight title fight against Jeff Fenech, who stopped him in the 14th round. In this video, we'll see him take on Jose Sanabria 4 months after the Fenech fight. So this bout was probably intended as a confidence builder after the loss to Fenech. Steve is now moving up a weight class into the junior featherweight division. Unfortunately, he died in August of 2000 at the age of 36 after battling an undisclosed illness. Meanwhile, Jose Sanabria fought out of Venezuela and was also moved fairly quickly, thrown in against 32-fight veteran James Phipps after only 2 years as a pro, taking on limited opposition in his native country. He lost a one-sided decision to Phipps, and here he's taking on McCrory 4 months later. Sanabria later goes on to win the IBF Super Bantamweight title in his second try in 1988. He defends the title 3 times before his career takes a downturn by 1990, and he loses 11 fights over the next 6 years before he retires in 1996.
People were telling us today, Al, that he'd been out of the ring or away from boxing for about 8 months. He'd moved up from Caracas, Venezuela to New York City, sometime getting adjusted, and when if he went 10 in that bout, he must be a pretty good, capable fighter. Well, he's in against a guy that knows how to fight, so we'll see what happens here tonight.
And he is throwing left hooks very well, Sanabria. And one of the problems Stevie McCrory has had in his pro career is that he tends to get nailed and often, and he even alluded to it today when he said he just wants a couple more fights, maybe go for a super bantamweight championship, and then depending on how that goes, get out of boxing pretty quick. He said, I've been taking some punishment in these fights.
Just under 2 minutes remaining in this opening round. It's been a brisk one so far. These two men are in at just over the bantamweight limit, or at the pretty good right hand thrown by McCrory. And a nice exchange between the two of them. They came in at 123 and 122, so they're at the super bantamweight.
Well, Sanabria came out throwing that left hook very well, but now McCrory's starting to time it a little bit and get the right hand over it.
Minute 30 remaining here in the opening round, scheduled for 10.
There, right there, you see he wanted to counter with the right, missed that.
McCrory might be just about as good as he's been in with, or at least name-wise, the value of this fight for him would be enormous.
Yeah, name-wise it is. Boy, what a left hook by Sanabria. You could see Steve McCrory took it and came right back. James Phipps a very good fighter. I don't know if he's as good as Steve McCrory. He might feel he is. It's maybe a wash on that, but he's in with a tough guy to come into after the Phipps fight.
Narrowing down to the 30-second mark here of the opening round, and there's a slight show of blood on the lips of Sanabria.
And that was early in the round. Later, McCrory came back with his right hands as we head into the second.
And we're here, live action from Caesars Tahoe. Take a look at the score. You gave Sanabria the opening round.
Yes, because of the good work he'd done over the first 2/3 of the round. The McCrory came back very well at the end of the round.
Again, Sanabria applies the pressure. There's toe-to-toe. He's working to the body and trying to connect to the head as well.
You know, this fight now almost comes down to this. The right hand of McCrory, the left hook of Sanabria. Those are the two big punches here. And it may be who else can come up with something else when he took that good straight right hand by McCrory. And there's the left hook by Steve. And maybe that's the point I made. Maybe if he can start landing that punch, as he did there, it'll be something else for Sanabria to look for.
Well, McCrory has got a stoic look about him. He just doesn't blink his eyes, doesn't show that he's been hurt. Belts Sanabria with a solid left hook.
Somebody is going to go down in this bout. You just know it. They are both landing big bombs.
Right hand again by McCrory, but Sanabria was going backwards, and there's a right hand that lands. And McCrory, I get the impression looking at him, Al, he feels that I can just hit this guy with anything I throw, and I'm just going to put him away, but I don't know.
Well, he took those left hooks from Sanabria in the first round, and now he is just walking in, throwing his shots, getting off first. He wasn't doing that early in the fight.
Oh, solid right and the left, thrown by Sanabria, and down goes McCrory. 1 minute remaining here in round number 2. The count's at 4, it's at 5 as McCrory's up on one knee. 6, 7, 8. Boy, took a left and a right, and down he went. Here we go.
It was the left hook that really hurt him, and as I said, that's the punch he hadn't been getting away from Sanabria. I knew someone would go down. I didn't know it happened that quick.
Sanabria now can smell a big victory here for him tonight, and McCrory still is trying to shake off the effects of that knockdown, and he's catching more leather as he stands there and gets nailed with another right and left, and a lot of combinations, and McCrory's looking for a place to go down. And now he's in the corner. The referee stepped in looking as though he might want to stop it.
He could give him a standing 8 count now. Mills Lane has got the standing 8 count at his disposal. Oh, this would be a tremendous blow to McCrory if this upset would stand.
McCrory fights his way back with a solid left hand, but he's still in trouble. Sanabria has got him in trouble, may have punched himself out, and McCrory comes back with the right hand.
What a round. And the judgment of Mills Lane, so important. Had he might have stepped in to stop it or even give a standing 8 count, and McCrory came back because he didn't.
I tell you, only the conditioning of McCrory and the credit to his boxing skills, he was able to weather that storm. He went down, took an 8 count, got back up, never quite regained his posture in the ring, but then suddenly, after being belted about, came back and threw a left hand and fought his way back out of trouble. Although he still looks a little bit used, doesn't he?
We will get the chance to see the left hook after the right that got McCrory in trouble. So it was actually a straight right that started him into trouble. And after Mills Lane did not stop the fight or give a standing 8 count to McCrory, his judgment was vindicated because McCrory came back with a good straight right.
And he hit him with a left hand, too, to follow that really brought the crowd on its feet with a roar. Sanabria knocking McCrory down. He went down and took the count of 8 and was in big trouble in round number 2. And here they come for round number 3. Boy, that minute between may not have been long enough for McCrory, but we'll see. He knows he's in with a guy that can hurt him now.
And I have Sanabria ahead by 3 points because they gave him a 2-point round. And that was a round in which McCrory looked like he was on his way to winning it before Sanabria really nailed him.
Sanabria, I would think now Al has got to be just a tad cautious and not get careless because McCrory can smack him one and hurt him almost as though as he was hurt.
Well, if he had McCrory in such trouble that if McCrory can come back at that point, yes, he's got to be cautious at all times.
Toe-to-toe, McCrory bangs a left. These two guys just winging away at each other.
This is the quintessential Steve McCrory fight. He has gone down often.
Went down, took a count of 8, got back up. There's 2 minutes remaining here in the 3rd round. And again, Sanabria. Headhunting now, not going to the body at all. And McCrory, standing toe-to-toe with him.
Tom, when he's in trouble, Steve McCrory does not get on his bicycle and get away. He stands there. Look, he's just standing. He's in trouble now, and he's not
collecting
moving.
a lot of punches, Al.
Just not moving. And certainly not like what we saw from him in the amateurs when he boxed so much, or like his brother. Oh, good left hook by McCrory.
And he followed with another, but Sanabria took both of them and stands right there throwing more leather with 1:30 remaining in round number 3. Scheduled for 10, but I think I'd be repeating myself. I said we didn't think it was going to go that distance. We said so in the opening round. McCrory looking for some place to sit down and get a breather, hanging on, and a trickle of blood showing from his mouth. Sanabria just walks right through him, and McCrory's throwing some pretty good punches.
But, you know, I think Steve's making a big mistake. There's an old adage, you don't hook with a left hooker. Well, he has strong left hooks with Sanabria, trading left hooks, and I think in the long run it's going to hurt him.
One of the few shots to the body thrown by Sanabria in this round. We're just under a minute remaining here in round number 3. Solid right hand by Sanabria. McCrory appears to be in trouble again. McCrory trying to hold on, and Sanabria pounding away with a free arm. Boy, McCrory really is not showing any body movement at all, Al. He's just right there waiting for somebody to throw a punch in hopes that he can counter.
Well, he is, you're right. His legs look like they're gone at this point.
Takes a right. 30 seconds remaining in the round.
Steve McCrory's landing, excuse me, Tom. Steve McCrory is landing his own left hooks, but they are just not as powerful as Sanabria.
Sanabria walking right through him for the most part. Well, after McCrory went down in the 2nd, he's weathered the storm here as the seconds tick away in round number 3. Trickle of blood showing from his nose. Lands a booming right hand to Sanabria's jaw, and there's a smear of red on Sanabria's face as well. Seconds ticking away, and the bell will bring us to the end. 4 coming up, and I tell you, Emanuel Stewart trying to build a fire under his man, Steve McCrory. His final comments to him as he went out, all the Olympic gold medals and all the world-class fighters you've been in with don't mean a thing. Press this kid and knock him out. You ought to be able to put him away. Well, McCrory is in trouble. Now he's moving a little bit, Al, as we start round number 4. We'll see what effect that has on the strategy of the fight.
What Stewart also said to him was that you're just reacting to what this guy throws. And that started right at the beginning of the fight. He said, you're not pressing him, pushing him back.
Solid right hand thrown by McCrory. Boy, it brought a spray from the head of Sanabria, who blinked and keeps coming on.
Now we understand why Sanabria has never been down before.
Oh, he's got a set of whiskers on, hasn't he? He put McCrory down in case you joined us late in the second round. McCrory missed with a right hand that had big trouble written all over it for Sanabria, but he eluded that. Sanabria connects with the right and drives McCrory back to the ropes and has him there and pummels him with lefts and rights. And down goes McCrory again. Count is 2 and he's up. 3, 4, and he looks in his corner. Counts at 5, 7, 8. He's all right. Down for the count of 8 again. Here we go.
This is how Stevie McCrory hit the canvas. It was a series of combinations by Sanabria, and McCrory just leaned in, as we said he's been doing.
We're back down to live action now, round 5, and boy, Emanuel Stewart was really all over McCrory between rounds, really lathering him with his comments.
And you see the scoring. Now, I made the last round only a 10-9 round for Sanabria because McCrory had dominated it completely until that knockdown. And really, I almost was tempted to make it an even round because of that, but I didn't, because for those people who believe in boxing conventions, I'd probably be lynched somewhere along the line.
Blood coming from the nose. Oh, no, I wouldn't let that happen to you.
Okay.
I'm practicing saying Avery Rawls. Notice what I said. Sanabria and McCrory are toe-to-toe again. Now, this has been a complete change in style again. Emanuel Stewart told him, forget about boxing him. You got to go out and settle down and knock this kid out.
He said something odd. He said, oh, the fight's lost for you. Well, I don't know. We're only in the 5th round. But granted, the 2 knockdowns make it tough. But, boy, I'll tell you what, I don't think Steve McCrory has anything to give now.
He has nothing left. And down he goes again with 2 minutes. And Miles Lane is stopping it, and that's going to be it. We'll get the official time in a bit, but Sanabria is a winner, TKO winner over Steve McCrory, and that's got to be the biggest victory of his young career. And Emanuel Stewart is really upset about the performance by McCrory. He was frank to tell him, you've been in with the best fighters in the world, finished down in Australia, truly one of the best, and you're letting this kid, is the way he described Sanabria, manhandle you out there in the ring. And I tell you, McCrory did not put on a very good performance, and no matter what he seemed to do, Sanabria was just too tough for him tonight.
Well, it's a crushing blow to Steve McCrory's professional career because of the fact that he had that fight with Fenich, felt he could fight as a super bantamweight. Maybe he can't. He's taken lots of punishment. For that man, Jose Sanabria, comes in here, we've got to say, his only loss as a pro was the 10-round loss to James Pips, who was a very fine bantamweight. And we saw from this young man, he's got power and he's got some skills. And so you have to look at him and say, what can he do in the super bantamweight or bantamweight division? And maybe the jury's still out until we see him against some other people, but he beat a very fine fighter tonight.
All right, Michael Buffer has got the official time for the knockout in this, the 5th round. Let's go to Michael.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Mills Lane stops the bout at 1 minute 3 seconds of the 5th round. The winner on a TKO, Jose Sanabria.